Hey everybody, just wanted to take a few seconds of your time before the podcast starts. Just wanted to let you know about a passion project of mine for the last 3 years called Hustle Focused Energy. It's a powdered drink mix intended to help you focus and accomplish your goals. Super excited to bring this to market. Go check it out, hustletheday.com. And thank you so much for listening. On this episode of the Hustle the Day podcast, I have Kyle Strauss on the show. Kyle is a former professional baseball player who became a CPA doing taxes and just recently left that job to become a full-time entrepreneur in the financial services space. Really cool story. Let's jump into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hustle the Day podcast. My name is Trent. Super excited to have my friend Kyle Strauss on the show today. Kyle, why don't you jump in here? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Trent, man. It is an honor and a privilege. I appreciate you having me on. My name is Kyle Strauss. I'm new in Arte. I'm new in the entrepreneurial field, really, and I'm just starting to get my feet wet and loving it all. I was a baseball player all my life. I haven't played in a couple of years, but I have to bring it up because it almost feels like it defined me. It taught me so many things as far as, teamwork and communication and leadership and all these things. But the biggest one I think looking back was persistence. I actually played until I was 30, but it wasn't until I was 28 years old where I actually caught my break, as they say. I met the right people, and I ended up playing professional ball over in Belgium. And that was just an unbelievable, incredible experience that it really just changed my life. And, besides persistence, making sure just to keep at things, never quitting. I went and got I have an accounting degree. I've been in finance. I've been a CPA tax accountant for several years while I was focused more on baseball. And, the CPA took me a long time, but persistence overtook. And going overseas, it really just expanded my mind and to see that there's so much more in the world and everything's so much bigger. And that's kind of where I got into this personal development side of myself and really started growing and trying to become the best version of me that I could be. And I'm still in that process. Like I said, I'm not playing anymore. Found myself a new sport in business, I suppose, but always just trying to get better and trying to improve.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that, goes back to the story of recently I just had Jake Kelfer on, who his dream was to be a professional basketball player. He had to pivot at an earlier age than you and didn't actually end up doing anything professionally. But now he's helping, entrepreneurs as well in a different way and more from the coaching mindset side of things. And so, it is interesting to see how sports can relate to business. And, it is a lot of those things. You got to have the fundamentals, you got to persist, you got to keep going. And so that's great that you learned those traits, and that's really going to help you because, like you mentioned, you're recent to this entrepreneurial side of things. And that's why I really wanted to talk to you, is because a lot of my audience is, wants to escape their 9-to-5, and you just recently did that, left the CPA side of things and started your own thing, which is awesome. So can you tell me a little bit about, that transition from, sports to CPA to now your own entrepreneurial venture?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the aspects that you didn't mention in there, of course it comes in all sports, is that aspect of being a competitor. Mm-hmm. And I think in business and, and realistically in life, if you want to, do big things or get ahead, you have to have a level of competitiveness within you. And that just brings everything out. As far as my CPA work, it was a great job, and it's a very, safe, secure career, but I was never something I was passionate about. I found out that I really enjoyed helping people to understand and get a better feeling for their taxes. That was my forte, and I got this great feeling from helping people, but not so much the actual work itself. And really just, like I said, having this bigger mindset of there's got to be more out there. There's got to be more than taxes. That kind of led me into this new field of, basically what I've started doing is I got into this place where I could, start my own business, and within that business, I'm just trying to do the same thing I was doing, provide education, provide value. But it's not under that corporate environment. There's a lot more flexibility, and you get so much more enjoyment and fulfillment about creating something yourself. The path from security to entrepreneurial is there's a lot more of it than meets the eye. Being so new to it, I thought myself it was going to be much easier than it really was, and it's a challenge. It's a daily grind, and there's a lot of ups and downs, and that mindset behind it of just jumping all into something is huge. And I'm banking on persistence to will me through to the finish line there. So.
Yeah, I definitely know relying on that persistence and that, banking on that definitely speaks to, some of my entrepreneurial ventures. And so I can relate to you on that. But I love that you brought up the competitive spirit, because that is something that, really separates people. If you don't have that competitive spirit, then what are you going to do? What's going to drive you? What's going to keep you going? You have to have some sort of drive. You have to have some sort of persistence or passion or something to make an entrepreneurial venture work, right? And with you've got that passion of helping people. You've got that competitive spirit. The power of persistence. I mean, you've got all things lining up for you, but you happen to start this business kind of in the worst time, but also the best time, because people are craving talking to people, and a lot of your business relies on talking to people and educating them. Has that been the case for you? Have you noticed that people are more willing to have those conversations?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, in seasons of struggle, there's always some opportunity in there, and this is no different. People are definitely looking to talk, and in the financial capacity, it's one thing where it's sometimes a little difficult because people are unsure. There's a lot of unsurety in the world. So, as far as making moves and doing things with their finances, they're not sure about what they want to do. And so I'm really trying to provide a lot of awareness. My company is just coming back to create, like it's creating money awareness. So it's one of those things where we weren't really taught this information. Did you ever receive a financial education on like retirement, credit, taxes?
No, my education on credit was, hey, they give you this and you better pay it back. That was literally like a one sentence thing is what I got out of credit. So yeah, that I didn't have anything on retirement, any of that financial education. That was all learned. Often the hard way.
Yeah. They're all too eager to give us credit cards anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about it is I learned all this the hard way myself. I'm by no means perfect, and I'm just an advocate for providing the information and trying to make people aware of all the options that are out there. We get this at WFG. We kind of we get this role that's termed as financial advisor, but we're almost more of a financial matchmaker at the end of the day. We're actually partnered up with hundreds of providers for investments and insurance and all these different aspects of financial game. Well, I just educate you on how everything works, different processes, different products. And you tell me what you want, what you need, and I say, okay, this aligns with you. This product is best suited for you. So, by no means am I out here trying to tell you what to invest in or this or that, manage a portfolio. I'm just trying to make you keep you best educated on the options and seeing what's out there, and then connecting the dots to what products we have to offer. So that's what's really nice about it is a really educational approach, mm-hmm. And helping people in that regard. That makes everything so much easier. It's just creating those relationships and, having a conversation, really where this is what's out there. Is there any way I can help you out? And, touching base like that.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. You're a financial matchmaker, and understanding your business a little bit more, just from mutual acquaintances and whatnot. That's what it comes down to. Is you're finding the best services to serve the needs of business owners, of regular everyday people, talking about where they can best manage their money, their insurance, their all sorts of different products that you can line them up with, and then basically you're just connecting the dots between them. It's not something that you're personally selling in a way. You're like you said, you're approaching it from an education background, which is why I love that you created this creating money awareness, because oftentimes people don't know these products are there. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Absolutely. And that's the biggest part of it. There's no formal education, financial education in our school systems, really. So a lot of us are just figuring out along the way. And in my opinion, there's way too much impact on your day-to-day life in, short term and in the long term to just try and wing your whole financial situation. So there's a lot of information that is super eye-opening once you dig into it a little bit, that deals with our money and how it works and best strategies and practices.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this baseball background that you have is actually plays really well into the entrepreneurial side of things, because with baseball, you're basically an entrepreneur in a way, because you have to fight for your spot on the team. You have to fight for yourself in whatever you're doing, because nobody's there. Nothing's certain. You have to keep always grinding to make sure that you are the best version that you can be, so that you can perform and earn that contract and things like that. So thinking about that, it didn't even hit me until as we were talking. It's like, wow, this really did prepare you for this. Even though you had the CPA to kind of fall back onto and whatnot, this really kind of sets you up for what it's going to be like to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I mean, baseball itself is a game of failures. Like as a batter, if you get on base 3 times out of 10, you're a Hall of Famer. That's
Right.
that's 30%. So you have to be well versed in the art of failing. And it's something as in baseball, I was very confident. I was talented, so I was very confident in it. But off the baseball field, that didn't always translate. And so going from this accounting position to being more personal with people, which is part of it that I really love. It's something that I wasn't getting in my corporate job is interaction. Personal interaction is huge. But at the same time, it is a learning curve, dealing with the psychology of people and, how people react. And within yourself you're dealing with all these people and you have to go through no's and a good amount of no's to get where you want to be.
Right. A no is just a stopping point until the yes, right?
Absolutely. It gets you closer to a yes. And that's such a good way to look at it, is to almost celebrate those no's, because they're just getting you closer on your way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing is you also have a partner who understands this, this entrepreneurial journey, because you and your fiance moved recently, and she's pursuing a career in acting. She has a podcast. I mean, basically all these things that line up really well with what you're doing as well. So, I mean, I have to assume here that your fiance is really understands kind of the journey that you're going through as well.
Yeah, she is. She's my rock. She's super supportive. She might not have been all that excited about me leaving my 9-to-5 job while we're paying for a wedding, but we're gonna figure that out. And she's a stud. Like you said, she's got her podcast. It's called Show Up to Go Up. Just a quick plug there. And she's all about personal development and just helping people better their lives as well. We're extremely aligned in that, and that's been great. Obviously we can always bounce ideas off one another and support each other in that way. But she definitely understands, and it's been a great process, and as stressful as it is, she's there to pick me up when I need it. So that's always good.
Yeah, that is definitely helpful. Speaking, to, my wife, it is really helpful. I feel like I'm dropping the ball personally. Like she's like, "Hey, I need another sample of your product. I was just talking to somebody about it." And it's like, oh man, am I not talking to enough people about this? Like she's outworking me in this. And, part of being an entrepreneur, you oftentimes have so much to do. And then other times it seems like there's nothing to do. And you know what? I find myself getting overwhelmed quite a bit. And I have been asking people this question more often to people is, where is it that you do your best thinking? Because sometimes you need those creative out of the box ideas. Is there a certain place or activity that you do to get your mind right and come up with those ideas?
Yeah, I'm an early riser. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably are as well. But I really enjoy waking up early and working out. And then it's in those early hours where it's quiet, where I do my best thinking. And just taking the time to reflect on where I'm at, where the week has gone, my previous day, and making sure that I'm taking points from activity and saying, what can I learn from this, and how can I make things better? My time's in the morning for sure. And then after that, time management as when you're not on a 9 to 5 clock has been one of the biggest learning curves for me, because it seems like time gets away from you so much faster when you don't have, I don't know, hours to clock into or whatever it might be at a more formal position in a job like that.
Yeah, it's not like 2 o'clock to 2:05 is like an hour long thing in the day job, but 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, it's like, where'd that go? That was 5 minutes, but really, you know what? It's funny how the difference can be between even just time and the 9 to 5 versus your own venture. And then, you know what? There's days where it feels like you get everything accomplished and days where it feels like nothing gets accomplished, but you got to keep putting that effort in, keep being persistent, and just try and use that competitive spirit and win the next day, right?
Yeah. It's just about the small steps. I think Eddie mentioned it a couple episodes ago, the Slight Edge book. That's something I'm a big advocate for. Mm-hmm. And Ed Milet in his podcast recently was talking about separation season, and that's kind of where my head's at right now. Is if I find myself maybe doing something I feel like is not productive, snapping back into it and trying to get myself into making sure I'm focused on productive activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And bringing up Ed Milet, you said snapping back into it. He literally does that. He has that snap that he does, and you can see his energy change just by doing that. He's, programmed himself basically to, when he hears that snap, I got to take it up a level. And you know what? It's one of those things that you can create those triggers over time where it's like, oh, I'm kind of slacking. All right, I need to get back to it.
Yeah. It takes some time to build up those habits for sure. But once they're established, once they're in place, those are huge.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, the slight edge of, having to repeat those habits until, a long ways down the road before you actually start seeing that take off and actually see the benefits of that hard work being put in over a consistent amount of time. You don't always see it, but then all of a sudden it starts working to your advantage.
Yeah. And, and then it's those days where it doesn't feel like anything got done, where I make sure to look back and say, okay, even if I didn't take huge leaps forward, I feel like that day was on the right slope of the slight edge. I was still moving up. So I'm happy with the day.
Since it is the Hustle of the Day podcast, what is your definition of the word hustle?
I think hustle to me is trying to seek that next level version of yourself. Whether it be in, faith, finance, fitness, business, just continuously trying to grow yourself and reach your potential. One thing, and this is what, I come from a pretty modest, I wasn't poor by any means, but I was taught to work hard and not make waves and do what you're told. And I was set up to work my tax job for the next 30 years. My parents would have loved that. But I think a lot of us, we kind of settle below our potential, and everyone has just this limitless amount of potential within them to do and create so many things. And, that's one thing that I want to advocate for, besides creating this, creating some education and awareness around the financial industry is just, and Trent, this is why I love your podcast so much about, this side hustle. I think that everyone should just continue to reach for that potential and, create something, create that side hustle, whatever you're passionate about, find a way to build that into something, whether it be huge or it just be something that you're in your local community, you get to share your passion about. I think that more of us need to continue to reach for our higher potential. And I think the world would be a lot different of a place if more people tried to reach for higher potential within themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so true. And it reminds me of a story of, somebody that it's definitely a mindset shift because when I was working a 9-to-5 job, there was somebody I was working with that thought that a $40,000 a year job was just the moon. Like there was absolutely no way this person was ever going to accomplish that. So why even try? And to me, it was just like, are you insane? Like that's not that difficult to be able to get a job, work hard, be consistent, and get a $40,000 a year job, working retail. I mean, like it's not anything that seemed that difficult to me, and to them it was the most difficult thing in the world. And if we all had that same mindset of being able to reach our potential, there's no telling what the world would be like.
Yeah. And on the this is on the other side of it, a lot of the people that in our new technological day and age, a lot of the people that don't reach for a little bit more of what they have to offer, they could be, AI'd right out of a job here in the next couple of years. Like that 40,000 a year job, there's probably a robot that's going to do that soon, So just the idea that everybody has so much more value to give, and they need to, probably need to make sure that they dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what, you don't want to be AI'd out of a job, like you said. Yeah, that's an interesting way to think about that because, you know what, you've got to be able to see your inefficiencies, where you can get better. And that definitely makes all the difference in a regular job, a side hustle, your own entrepreneurial venture. I usually sit there each day and think, okay, what did I do well? What didn't I do well? And try and improve upon that each day, because I mean, otherwise, what am I doing? I'm just floundering.
Yeah. And really, it's tough for me because I feel like once I got into personal development, I was so addicted to, once I saw a little bit of improvement, I was like, oh my gosh, I could be so much better. Like, why wouldn't I want to be so much better? And I just, maybe not everybody's like that, but for me, it was like a challenge to myself, of how good could I really be?
Yeah, absolutely. So you just started this business, you left the regular job. What would you say was your biggest challenge? You mentioned it was more difficult than you expected. What was that biggest challenge that you never expected to have happen?
The biggest one for me is marketing and marketing myself, branding myself a little bit, because in my old role there, I never had to do that. And maybe I would have if I got a little bit further and, had some more client facing roles, but just putting yourself out there and marketing yourself to the world a little bit. It's unnerving at times. It's definitely getting out of your comfort zone, and something that was definitely new to me. But again, once I started doing it, things just gradually become to get easier and easier, and to a point where, you can see the fun side of it. You can see the enjoyment and get the excitement out of it versus, oh, I have to do this. It's like, this is fun. I got to do this.
Yeah, I like that. You did the way you just mentioned those two different things. I have to do this and I get to do this. That alone is a game changer in itself of, telling yourself, oh, I have to do this. That puts a negative connotation to it. I get to do this puts a positive spin on it.
Right. I mean, perspective is huge.
Yeah. Well, I completely understand, putting yourself out there. That is a difficult thing for a lot of people, myself included. I should be doing it more. And this podcast is one of those things where it's like, I started this a little over a year ago. And at the time I was just terrified to put my voice out there. And I know that's coming from a selfish side of things, because it's about the guest. It's about Kyle. It's about, people understand what Kyle's going through, how he's made a difference. But still, I was afraid for my side of it. It's like, all right, the stories are better. I'm pushing through, and it's gotten easier over time. Obviously, like you mentioned, it gets easier the more you do it. You got to put in the reps.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things that and it's still, I'm still instilling that into my mindset. But that's one of the biggest things that I have heard, and I agree with you on, is if you're worried about what people think of you and how you come off, and that kind of, which we all do, we have those worries, but it's not about you. It's about the audience, or like you said, me in this case. But for me, it's about the listeners. If I'm worrying about myself, then I'm not doing my best to provide value or content or whatever it might be. So keeping that in mind is huge. And again, it's a game changer as far as how you feel in certain situations.
Yeah. You talk about the helping those people out, and the audience, and how you're trying to help. Have you experienced that in your own business of seeing people save money, seeing them have the light bulbs click for them? Like, what have been some of your experiences in helping other people out with their financial business?
Yeah, it is very exciting. Exciting is maybe not the right word, but I really love it because, like I said, coming from this educational standpoint, we have some bullet points based on growing your money, like different ways to invest, and how the banking system works, and how taxes work. And so we have some basic concepts that we'll walk through with everybody. And I've talked to a lot of people, and pretty much everybody has, come away with value, has learned something, has their eyes have been opened up to at least one aspect or another, if not a lot of them for some people. So I've always had really great experiences with being able to provide that good value and help people out in that regard. And that's one benefit to this industry, is majority of people need our help to one extent or another. We have so many products and options and services on the platform that we can help somebody who is just trying to, save $20 a month and, doesn't have a lot, to a multi-million-dollar earner. And we have something for each one of those people and everybody in between. And then the business aspect of itself is another opportunity that of a way we can, help people out, in that side hustle mentality. I heard it recently that you're not going to be able to be wealthy or create wealth for yourself working for another person. Like, it's not set up that way. So to some extent, based on the size of the life you want to live, we all have to either work for ourselves or, create additional streams and this and that. And this platform, it's just, it has such a great opportunity for everybody in that it is backed by a huge company. So you get this strength behind you, but you get the flexibility and the personability of a small business and, something that you're starting by yourself. You get the guidance in place where you don't even need a financial background to start up this company. We have the training in place, and again, the concepts are not super complex. They're just top level of basic financial concepts that you can learn and forward that, share that information forward with very many people that need to hear it. And, it's a low cost of entry. Basically, you just have to go get a life insurance license and you're ready to start doing business. It costs less than $1,000 to get started. How many startup businesses do you know where you can get going for less than $1,000 and you don't really need a background in the material?
Yeah, not many. Definitely not what I've done. Well, no, I think that's great. That gives a great overview of what you can do and how you can help people. So now I think is a great time to, plug in where people can best find you and find more information about what you're doing.
Yeah, great. So Creating Money Awareness is the name of my company, and I can be found on Facebook and Instagram. That's where I'm putting all my content out right now. I'm not trying to spread myself too thin, so I'm trying to focus on those platforms. And then obviously, Kyle Strauss, my personal stuff, will have some things out as well. And I'm always available to answer questions, like hearing about the questions that people have on, what financial questions are important to them, what their pain points are. That's important for me to know and figure out. And so always available to field questions and help out as much as I can.
Awesome. Like you said, providing that education and that value to people up front, which is great. So I'll make sure to include links in the show description of where people can find you. But I want to say thank you for your time and, for the opportunity I had to speak to you and, help people, understand the financial side of things and how you can help them. But I want to ask you one more question before I let you go, and that is, personal or business, what is it that excites you about the future?
Oh, let's see. I'm excited to get married next summer, man. I think we're down to 267 days right now. We got it counting down. And I'm really hoping that regulations, for parties cool down by the time that rolls around in August. But I'm excited for that part of my life and that next chapter.
Yeah, that's awesome. And congratulations. That's an exciting time. Thank you again, Kyle, for taking time out of your day and jumping on the podcast. I really do appreciate that. I know I've gotten a ton of value out of this, so I know my audience has gotten value out of this. So I encourage you all to get out there and hustle the day.
Hey, thanks for listening all the way through. Sincerely appreciate it. But hey, since you're here on YouTube, I have a favor to ask. If you got any value out of this podcast, and I know you did, go ahead, hit the subscribe, the like, and the bell notification buttons. That sincerely helps us out, and I truly appreciate anybody who does that.